what's up, folks? It's Corey again, back again, another episode of Critical Comix. I am Corey, the master of all four elements Carter, with my two lovely co-hosts here today.
Jonathan Crane, the master of fear.
And of course, Fred Freeze.
And we're here to talk about a spoilerific review of Doctor Strange, the movie starring Benedict Cumberbatch, who had no faith in him at one point that he could conceivably pull off a realistic American accent. To a degree, I was correct. It breaks from time to time, but overall, that may be the biggest complaint that I have about this film. I mean, what can I say? I loved it. It was great. It was an awesome film. We're going to talk about a couple of different parts that we enjoyed, anything we thought they could have improved. But I mean, guys, what are your general thoughts on it?
I thought that it was amazing, and if you're going to watch it, you must watch it in 3D IMAX.
3D IMAX. We made the mistake. Yeah. We made the mistake of seeing it the first time. We've seen it twice now. We saw it the first time in just regular viewing. We made a mistake. We made an egregious error, and we went back to see it in 3D IMAX, and it was every bit as amazing as you think.
Growing up, I was more of a Dr. Fate person. I just have to be honest.
The DC version?
Yeah, Doctor Strange is one of those characters that I never really cared that much about. I just have to be honest. He's kind of like, a little bit better than Ant-Man for me growing up. And, he's just a guy who kind of escorts the Avengers to another realm. He kind of helps them with their magical stuff. It's like, hey, they have a magical question. It's like, hey, ask that guy who knows about magic.
He's the portal guy. When they need a portal to somewhere, he's the portal guy.
Yeah. You ever think they just go to his house and they're just like, yeah, man, how you doing today? He's like, I'm doing well. I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, yeah, you need to go somewhere, don't you?
You need to go. You need to travel to another dimension.
Travel to another dimension.
You need to go to another dimension. That's why you're here.
He's the superhero Uber.
Just pretty much. What are his rates? What does he charge?
It's like $5 per person per dimension hop.
So he's still just charging dollars. Nothing magical. Nothing.
It's kind of like, what is he going to do with money?
Nothing whimsical at all. Just
he was like an award-winning surgeon for most of his life, and then he became like the sorcerer. What is the Sorcerer Supreme? What is he going to do with money? Really? What is he going to do with money? What can he buy that he can't conjure?
But the truth of the matter is he just wants to take your money. He just wants something from you.
He's just going to charge unreasonable rates.
Yes.
Just to get on your nerves. It's like, but you only charge Thor like $5. Well, I'm charging you $500, Tony Stark.
But oh yeah, this is a really good movie, all jokes aside.
He is the superhero Uber, though. But no, seriously, I have a little bit more experience with Doctor Strange.
Because you did your research. You were the only one of us that did your research, Fred, before any of us saw the film. We still haven't done any research after this. Yeah. And you knew more than we did going into it. And
then kind of like I was that kid that I'm just one of those weirdos that kind of like once I start looking at a comic book, I look at everything about it, and it's just crazy. It's a anal retentive habit of mine. And I actually own a few Doctor Strange comic books. I own when he stopped being the Sorcerer Supreme and Dr. Voodoo and Brother Voodoo took over. That was a good storyline. I actually enjoyed it.
Brother Voodoo.
Brother Voodoo. The name was.
Yeah. What color is he, Fred? What color is he, Fred? What color is he, Fred?
I'm gonna say that he's African American-ish.
Ish.
Ish. Just a little. Maybe a little brown.
Little brown, a little bit of a darker skin tone than usual.
What gave it away? But saying that reminds me of where Strange and all of these characters come from, because they come from that time period when everybody was into the kitsch mystic arts. So he's the kitsch mystic character.
You said before that he actually started off as an Asian character, kind of an Asian, what do we call it? Epitaph, like an Asian epitaph
type character. When you look at it, when you look at the way his skin was. In the comics, he had the Fu Manchu-ish beard, and that got into this. We don't want to get deep into it being the slurish category, because a lot of people's big complaint about the movie was the Ancient One, not
played by Tilda Swinton, exactly, and not an Asian person.
And I think she did a great job. So I really think at the end of the day, Marvel was trying to get away from a lot of that stuff, because a lot of that stuff was the stereotyping and stuff like that from the early ages of comics. Like, comics was notorious for their stereotyping, and they were always tying into different things. There's a particular character. I've got to look him up again because the name is escaping me, but there's a particular character that Doctor Strange is pretty much created off of, and that was an Asian epitaph as well. And it's kind of like the old Fu Manchu type characters
See,
from back in the day.
While I did enjoy Tilda Swinton's performance, I thought Tilda Swinton did a great performance for a woman that looks as weird as she does. I can't explain that. I can't explain it. She just looks. She's got weird facial features. She looks weird.
Yeah, and
she looks weird to me.
The baldness did not.
It
help.
didn't help. No, the baldness did not help at all.
No.
I digress.
It's like obscenely cruel. You're just
I
like, hey,
didn't
by
say
the way, this lady's funny looking. Just want to tell you that.
Hey, Cumberbatch looks weird too. Cumberbatch has a weird shaped head.
It's the forehead.
I don't know what it is.
Something
between
about
those
his
two.
head does kind of it's off.
Would you say it's strange?
Oh. Now, the performances aside, I enjoyed both their performances. I thought Tilda Swinton did a great job. I still would have liked to have seen the role portrayed by someone Asian. Maybe that's my nitpicking thing. I don't think she did a bad job. I'm just saying it still would have been. This is one of the things where the trope
she
would
did
have
a pretty
fit.
good job. She did a pretty good job, but it's still a negative that she's playing the character. But at least she showed up and she did a
great job.
Solid job ripping off someone else's culture. But seriously, I think that she's a good actress, and they did what they could. I can understand you're saying that Marvel didn't want to go down that direction.
They didn't want to go down the racial road, but this is the one place I feel like the trope would have fit. Like, this actually feels like that's where it would have fit. If it's a Tibetan monastery in the middle of the freaking Himalayan mountains.
Book, if the character is Asian, just
is
make
a Tibetan
the character
man. He's an Asian monk.
Asian. It's okay. It's one of those situations where they try so hard not to be racist that they were kind of a little racist. That must be pretty frustrating. It's like we don't want to be racist here. I mean, come on. We can't make this guy an Asian mystic.
Well, we just can't get anything right with USJWs now, can we? So I still feel like that's not a negative, so to speak. That's just more my little pet peeve. Like, I still would have liked the role to have gone to a good Asian actor for it to be played and have that trope play out. Again, I like Tilda Swinton's performance. I am saying nothing bad about what she did in that movie. She did a very good, excellent job. In fact, I got no problem with any of the actors in that film. Everybody's performance was great. I just feel like that one little thing would have been, that's the one little, it's like the lens flare. It's like the lens flare with J.J. Abrams. Your eye is drawn to it once you realize it's there.
Now, and I understand that. And because, like, one of the things is, like, I'll even go as far as to say a positive that they did, like, they of course, they didn't make Wong a manservant.
No, they didn't.
Like he was, like, in the previous stuff, like.
Which was great. Wong was a great character in this movie.
Wong was a great
He was
character.
funny. He was really funny.
Exactly. So he kind of held his own, and he was more of a librarian, and he, it showed that. And then, of course, Mordu doesn't really supposed to be like African American. He's actually supposed to be Asian as well.
That's true.
So like I said, all of this. I mean, I understand where all of this goes. In the cycle of things, and of course Stephen Strange eventually we can say it was maybe just a comic book timing or whatever like that. I don't know, but I know if you look at the earliest issues from the individual that created Strange, Ditko and all that, Steve Ditko and all these other guys, he was a pretty much play off of that of a previous character, and the name is escaping me. I wish I was able to say it right now.
But they did give him an Asian slant.
Exactly. They kind of gave him somewhat of a slant. And then the trope going forward, like, is more of the person going to the east, and then a lot of people are getting tired of that, to get powers when there's nothing amazing in. It's like, so why don't the people that are there just be the Sorcerer Supreme? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like we get that, but I mean, I feel like I take all of that away because I think I love this movie. I think it was a good movie as far as the way they did everything, because of the simple fact that Marvel has done it again, using an age-old trope and putting together a good film around it. Like in the instance of this was more so about an arrogant man who was full of himself, finding out there was more in the world than it's not about you.
And I have to say, with this, I didn't notice it at first, but it's like it's hard not to make the comparison between him and Iron Man, between this and Tony Stark's story. This is Dude, this is like 90% Tony Stark's story.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
It pretty much is Tony Stark's story.
He has
with
the
magic.
injury, he has the flaws, he has the injury, he has the arrogance.
Oh God, he has the arrogance.
He has it all. He pretty much, they kind of took those two characters and they were like, okay, man, we need another character that's exactly like this character in the same realm of this character. I had a conversation in a barbershop about this film, and someone didn't like it. They didn't like the film because they said that this guy reminded them too much of Tony Stark. This guy reminded them too much of Iron Man.
Of course.
I enjoyed this movie. I think that it's good, but that kind of made me think about it more. It really kind of brought it to the forefront of my mind. And I think that one of the reasons why people rely so much on that trope of the person goes to the Far East to learn the mystic style. The reason why that happens sometimes, man, is because I feel like they want to put you in that situation. Like it's you're learning about the mystic style.
Like you're going on an ancient journey type of thing.
But that part of it is old. It is old, and I would like to see something else. So I agree with that. But as you can tell, we're kind of nitpicking.
We are. We've got nothing majorly bad to say about this movie.
This film is visually stunning. It really is. It's worth the $20.
I need to tell folks this. There is no point. If you wish to get high before seeing this movie, you might be tripping for a little longer than you think because you really don't need drugs to enjoy the trippiness of this film. When with the scene that happens that kind of first throws you into the whole magical era thing from Doctor Strange's point of view is when Tilda Swinton, who's playing the Ancient One, kind of opens his third eye, so to speak, and the guy witnesses this entire multi-universe of things that are going on that he never knew existed, and it's a trip. It's an absolute just absolute mind trip the entire time, and it's disturbing visuals on top of beautiful visuals because he goes into the dimension where it's hands on top of hands on top of hands. Yeah, it looked like hell itself, by the way.
Wonderful, a wonderful place to visit.
And it was incredibly just trippy, and it was great, and I love that kind of scene where they didn't really shy away from showing how crazy everything looked from his perspective.
And we come one step closer. They revealed another Infinity Gem. They did. Yes, they invented. They actually.
But getting to that.
Yes.
I will say, this is a lot of the scenes they had in the cityscape was like, if you've seen Inception, imagine Inception on freaking just cocaine bender. On cocaine mixed with speed.
They clearly watched Inception a few times with this. They watched that Christopher Nolan film.
More than a few.
And you know what? They said, this is what we're going to go with artistically, our visual style.
Because guys, the cities move. The cities move, the buildings move. It becomes a part of the battlescape where the entire environment around them just ends up being absolutely just not destroyed, but it's like the scenes where you see them reshaping reality in the movie, that's so scraping the surface of what they go into in the film. It's like it gets crazy amounts of just reshaping, entire cityscapes and buildings to suit what the battle scene is going on, and it's amazing. It looks completely visually stunning from start to finish.
It was really bugging me, the character that they and I hate to cut in and just sideway you guys and segue in the middle of it, but I had.
So we do have a negative. We do have a negative from Fred.
No, there's not a negative. I just wanted to clarify the character. I was saying that Doctor Strange took a little bit from Lee and Ditko when they actually created Doctor Strange. There was another character that Lee and Ditko had created back in the day called Dr. Droom, and Dr. Droom actually transformed from a Caucasian person to an Asian person, an Asian epitaph.
So he was Caucasian at first, and then transferred to Asian, and then back to Caucasian again.
Yes, or somewhere to that.
Just like Tilda.
Yeah, when you kind of get into it, and early on, when you look at Strange, he's given those faux, Mickey Rooney and Breakfast at Tiffany's, Tiffany's Asian-y. Not Asian-y. It's like how do I put it? Like the epitaph. That's an edit. That's an edit. He was given.
That may be an edit.
That must be an edit. He was given faux Asian features, or what they consider that, which was more epitaphy than actual or slurry than actual whatever. And and then later on he was just pretty much made Caucasian.
Okay, wait.
And he became the Stephen Strange that we know today.
Yeah, they turned him into an Asian stereotype.
By the
Early
way,
on.
I thought this is funny. I'm looking at IMDb right now, and I'm reading the casting list. The guy who plays Wong, the faithful servant of Doctor Strange, his name is Benedict Wong.
Benedict Wong.
His name is Benedict Wong. His last name is Wong. So he is Wong. There you go. And of course. Of course,
you're
that's
making
great.
me remember the Mickey Rooney
wow.
character now.
That's
Yeah, that was truly a shameful display by him.
Yeah.
That guy should really feel ashamed of himself for doing that.
That was really awful. Yeah. You know what, man? I think everybody feels ashamed of that.
Yeah,
that's a
that
dark
is-
spot that's a really dark spot in Hollywood's past. That along with John Wayne playing Genghis Khan. Gosh, that's awful.
Yeah,
That's just
that
awful.
and it's still happening to the Asian community. That's the
Yes, it
saddest
is.
part because, of course, if something like that would have happened to Black Panther or
Oh, we'd burn the place down.
the place would be
We'd burn it down.
people would burn. But
They've learned not to fuck with us at this point. They've learned not to do that so much.
But unfortunately for the Asian community, they still it's I don't know, man.
That's
These
another
people
episode
still-
That's another episode we'll have to go into. Maybe. Because the first trailer for the live action Ghost in the Shell dropped this past week, and yeah, I'm not happy with it. But once again, as I've said before, we can't be angry on the Asian community's behalf. If they don't speak up and say something, the shit's gonna keep happening.
Yeah.
So it just kind of is what it is. But back to Doctor Strange.
Yeah, back to Doctor Strange. Again, like I said, all of that aside, I don't want to harp on that forever. We've made our point about it.
Right.
But
But and again, Tilda Swinton did a great job.
Exactly. And I actually like, Mordu as he was, even though, I like the way he was played, kind of being more fierce. I think the thing I just kind of give it to with Marvel and their movie universe, they have taken it upon themselves to almost ultimate it. And
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
they're, taking characters and they're being a little bit more educated with, when they change out the ethnicity of characters. And I can see it. They're being more educated. Fox is not. Now,
Fox is definitely not,
Fox and all these other places, they do stuff to say, hey, maybe this will get, black people to come watch the movie if we just make the character that way.
And I got to
Like,
interject.
no.
I got to interject with a DC character here. Going back to the show itself, The Flash, I've just recently binge watched all of season 2. And for those who may not realize it, who love The Flash, Flash's girlfriend, soon to be wife, is traditionally white.
Mm-hmm.
But she and her dad are being portrayed by black actors. And you know how I feel about race swapping when it comes to stuff like that. But I think it's easier to take when, one, they don't make the characters trash just because they've switched their race, which they don't, and two, the actors are on point with their portrayals of the characters. So I think that's easier for everybody. We can give them a pass when it's like, okay, they're portraying the character well, they're actually doing them justice, they're actually getting the spirit of it correct. All right, we're willing to let this have a pass.
Yeah. A great acting performance can kind of mask that. So if you give a great acting performance, people will let it go. So I can understand that side of it. They picked a great actress. She's done some wonderful films in the past. But we're just disappointed. We're just disappointed about what happens to the Asian community over and over and over again. We're not complaining about the movie. We're complaining about
experienced this,
the
folks.
situation.
We've experienced this when we've had white people playing black actors a long time ago, which thankfully blackface has become such a horrible topic.
Amos and Andy, the box set was just recently released on Amazon. I'm joking.
Please don't do
Some
that.
people were.
Some folks would probably believe that. No, but since we've had that happen for so many years, we're kind of angry on other people's behalf when it does happen to them. When they get their art stolen, because we love Asian culture, we love the Asian community. So when we see Asian people not being portrayed as they should be, even in something like Doctor Strange with Tilda Swinton again, who did a fantastic job, we feel a little bit of that pain. We feel a little bit of that hurt, and we don't want that to happen to anybody else, especially people whose culture and artwork are so prevalent throughout our own that we pretty much take from it all the time. But as far as some different aspects of Doctor Strange, one thing I will say about a lot of the Marvel movies is a lot of times they've suffered from the weakness of having a weak villain, a weak or forgettable villain, and Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen.
You'll die protecting this world, Mr. Doctor. Mr. Doctor.
It's strange.
Maybe. Who am I to judge?
I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Mads Mikkelsen, who seems to do a Keanu Reeves and play the same damn character in every movie he's in.
Has he ever played just a decent guy, just like the love interest?
No.
It's like I just remember him from Casino Royale. I remember just all
Played a villain, played a
it's his
deadpan villain.
face. It's just his face. He has no other hope. It's
You know what? He's in Rogue One. He's in Rogue One playing like a father protecting his child. So maybe we'll see some range.
It's still rough around the edges. It's still kind of rough around the edges. It's still not just that. You know, hey, what about a comedy? Real quick.
I forgot how to tie a tie. I'll do it again. This is just great.
No, that's just not gonna happen.
We
You know,
might see
some
him-
people just have that type of face.
You know what? If we see him play the straight man in a comedy, that might be the funniest thing ever.
He should
that
have
might
been
be the
in
funniest thing
Triple
ever.
XL. It's coming.
Oh
You know,
God.
Triple X. I mean,
Triple X. Oh yeah, the
It's
new
coming.
Triple X film
you
that's
got
coming out.
you got to get the girl and look fly doing it.
Oh my God. That's
Anyway,
funny.
but I had to throw that out there. Yes. He says, what you got to do, Xander, is get the girl, look fly doing it, and try not to get killed.
Because of course.
to see that movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be absolutely different from all the other Triple X movies we've seen before. It's nice to see him in another Fast and Furious, Triple X film.
They just kind of came out of nowhere with Ice Cube, didn't they?
I guess.
They just put Ice Cube. They
He
were
was
like,
busy.
yeah, man,
He
Vin
was busy.
Diesel.
Vin Diesel was busy with another Fast and Furious film. That's
but
why.
okay, I'm a casting agent, right? And I'm thinking, okay, I had Vin Diesel. He's got a lot of other stuff to do.
Of course,
for
yes.
a while. Okay. Who are we thinking? Let's just run some names. You know, let's just try to think.
You know, we could think about
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson, The
Dwayne
Rock.
John-
We could get him in there.
Yeah. Okay. No, no, we're not gonna call him. We're gonna call the guy from Friday.
Who hasn't been in a decent action flick since Ghost of Mars.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a bad film. But
Okay.
yeah, let's try him. The guy who's doing all the family films now, that guy? Sure, why not?
So the Asian community should be upset. The black community should be upset that they didn't pick the right. Okay, and everybody should be upset.
Yeah, everybody
about
should be upset about something. Yeah. But I will say, Mads Mikkelsen, he plays his characters well, man. He goes within his range. He plays his characters really well because deadpan works for him. And it worked for him in this movie, especially playing against Benedict Cumberbatch, because I love the scene where there's a scene where Caecilius and Doctor Strange are fighting in the mansion, and Doctor Strange pulls out some like random piece of magical thing, and he points it at him, and the guy pauses and goes, "You have no idea how to use that, do you?" And then Doctor Strange just chucks the thing at him.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, it was funny. He uses his deadpanness really well in the film, so it never seemed like he was such a boring villain.
And I will actually say that one thing I really enjoyed about this is the pacing in the movie allowed them to show that Doctor Strange is new to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It allowed you to kind of get, you felt like you were immersed in this character's story and you're a part of the journey. It didn't go too fast. It didn't go too slow. It just hit right on time. And you saw that he wasn't like kicking butt as much as just surviving.
Yeah, there was a lot of it where he was just trying his best to just just try the beginning phase of some of this stuff, of
and
just
try not
things
to
that
die.
other people, like all of the other novices were getting, he was struggling with.
Yep.
I will say the one thing that I felt like they maybe could have done or just added in was just, this is a little nitpick of mine, was when the Ancient One, asks him, he tries to say, how do I get from here to there? How do I learn what you know? And she asks him, well, how did you become a surgeon? He says, study and practice, years of it. And she kind of goes, well, yeah, it was like that. Where they didn't really show the passage of time very well, because we don't really know how long he was at the monastery. At least for some months, we say that. But I don't know. They could have shown like, a year later or something like that.
I think that they did try to show that he was somewhat of a prodigy. Because, think about it. The guy had only, there was a human being who came there who learned a lot of the knowledge. He absorbed just mystic, all of these different mystic teachings, but he could only use it to heal his body. That's it. He couldn't really understand anything further than that. Of course, Strange shows up. Yeah, exactly. He makes that decision. Strange shows up, and I think he was just more of a prodigy.
Yeah. He was like he was like reading his way through half their library in record time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they were showing how good at it he was.
I think it's because he was a surgeon. He applied some of that to all of these mystic teachings, and he became Sorcerer Supreme.
Well, on the road to Sorcerer Supreme, they never actually address him as a Sorcerer Supreme, which I kind of liked because that's what they kept calling the Ancient One. And even at the end of the movie, when the Ancient One died, they said, all of the magical world is going to be, in an uproar now because now they know there's no Sorcerer Supreme to protect us. The entire multiverse is gonna come after us now, and because there's no Sorcerer Supreme, and they know that they're out of the way to protect us. And he didn't immediately say, "Oh, I'm the new Sorcerer Supreme now," because he probably he hasn't quite earned that title yet. Well, this is still Doctor Strange at the very start of his career.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe they didn't want that. Maybe they didn't want the press conference just like Tony Stark. This guy's already so much like Tony Stark.
I am Doctor Strange.
I'm Doctor Strange.
I am the Sorcerer Supreme. So,
yeah, that would be too far, I guess.
They had to differentiate a little bit between them.
The only thing I would actually say is, I mean, I get what people say with the arrogance with Tony Stark's and everything, but I just, I see his type of arrogance and Tony's type of arrogance kind of going for different. They're kind of different.
Yeah, they are different. They are different, though.
They're kind of like, I see the difference in their arrogance. And, I agree with you guys. I like the fact that they, that he didn't take the title or the title wasn't forced upon him. And, the first cut scene where he's sitting down, spoiler alert, with Thor, I thought that was a good idea. Spoiler alert.
Oh, we got that in the beginning. You heard the spoiler alert from the beginning. We'll get extra ones there.
And I, the way they were having that interaction, I like the fact that they're keeping it light. They're keeping it comical. I also noticed something that you saw what was happening to the villains in that movie when they were, you thought they were just disintegrating and being turned into nothing. But notice that their bodies were still there, but they were just blackening, and they had these red glow that was still up on their eyes.
Oh, they're immortal now. They just don't want to be.
Exactly. They're the mindless ones. They're going to become the mindless ones. The mindless ones are the creatures that serve Dormammu. Dormammu. Yes, you got to get that right. They're the creatures that serve Dormammu in that other dimension.
Okay, so he does have minions, and they just became his minions.
But
okay, so they alluded to that. That's pretty cool.
Exactly, and they're just legions of them, mindless ones.
And speaking of that, I have to say, leading up to that, I knew we were going to get I thought they were going to pull sort of how do I put this? A Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer on us with Dormammu. They'll give us a glimpse of him, but they won't actually. I thought they might have actually saved that until the second movie.
I thought that they handled that well, and I was worried about that. I was really worried about how they would handle Dormammu.
And I love the fact that when Dormammu and Doctor Strange met, it was a complete blowout. He had no shot, and they showed it right away. Yep. He was doomed. He was doomed when he said, "I came to make a deal." He says, "Oh, you come to die," and Dormammu kills him almost instantly.
Yeah. Kills him countless times. There's no telling how long he was stuck in that loop.
There really is. It's like a Groundhog Day. There's no telling how long he was there.
It could have been 1,000 years, and he just kept showing up until Dormammu finally just had enough.
And that was the most creative way to beat an overpowered villain I've ever seen. That they've never done in a Marvel film that I've seen thus far, because it's either a straight up fight or they got some kind of MacGuffin that they use or some magical device to defeat him or close the portal. No, he knew full well he couldn't beat him. So he basically uses the eye of what was it called? The eye of Agamotto. Yeah. The Eye of Agamotto, which basically is the time stone of the Infinity Gem, and creates a time loop, and he just gets killed over and over again. But Dormammu can't get out of it either. Him and Doctor Strange are basically stuck, and that's one of the most creative things I've seen in a long time. And it also demonstrated really well that Dormammu, as big as they made him out to be, as gigantic and uber powerful as he is in his own universe that he has, they showed very clearly he is not more powerful than an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
They showed that. They demonstrated that part as well.
Yeah, he was trapped in a time loop, and they showed the gem's power. And I'm just looking forward to it, man. I'm just that is my favorite gem, by the way.
You knew right away, by the way. You got that before any one of us did, because some of us went to see it in a group before our Professor Crane here did, and none of us knew it was an Infinity Stone until the very end, until they said it. But as soon as you saw that scene of him reversing time on the apples, you just immediately knew
it's my gem.
It's my stone.
Okay,
mine. So that was funny to watch, and I thought that was great that he trapped Dormammu like that. And eventually had to force Dormammu to he bended the will of a supreme being to his own in a way that like that was like he died an infinite number of times and just like the guy could not get out no matter what he did. So I thought it was great that he beat Dormammu in a game of wits and not in a game of power, which I thought that was really cool to see.
And I'll say this: I feel like Marvel is expanding their universe in the same way that when Disney got Star Wars, they're kind of opening it up a little bit. Now, as long as they don't do a lot of retread, and of course with some of the movies that they sold off, they're gonna have to do some retread. But if you look, you saw the Avengers building just sitting there in the distance.
Yes, and I love that. I love that.
And you loved it. You're in New York, and you saw all the stuff going on, and I'm like,
they mentioned the Avengers once in the whole movie.
Exactly.
They didn't beat you over the head with it.
Exactly. So you knew that in this world, these characters exist somewhere, and that this world, fantastic things are happening. So I'm just like, oh Lord, could there be a day that Marvel gets the Fantastic Four and X-Men back, and we just bring it all home and let's just get it in?
I've just accepted it, man. I've accepted that the X-Men will never be back with Marvel. I've just accepted it. I've had to.
I think for us it's a pipe dream because we have to sleep at night.
We just can't keep ourselves up anymore. We can't do it.
I can't do it. It's like a wayward. It's like a wayward son.
There's already talk of Fox again wanting to fucking reboot X-Men. They're wanting to reboot X-Men again after Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman do Logan, and it's their last thing, and they're already talking about fucking rebooting.
And I
the series
guarantee
again.
you, if they do reboot it, they'll still screw it up because you have to care. I mean, we've covered this ad nauseum, as you know. But man, it's
so we've accepted it, man. We've learned to just accept the death of our franchise. That we're never that we got 2 good movies.
We can't get our hopes up.
Maybe 3 if you count Days of Future Past. We got maybe 3 good movies out of this entire franchise. And you know what, man? It hurts too much to watch our favorite characters as kids degenerate the way that they have.
It pains us too much to care.
It's not good. It's just like they never want to be good enough. And again, it's just one of those things we've learned to accept. And I will stop right there before we go into the rant one more time. Altogether, though, I thought Doctor Strange was surprisingly a good movie. By the way, the combat in here was way more like physically focused than I was expecting in a movie about magicians fighting other magicians. I expected a lot of magical back and forth going on. A lot of people were expecting a lot of Harry Potter, like wand waving. There was some
martial arts.
There was a lot of martial arts.
Yeah,
there was a lot of martial arts involved. They were like if you're expecting, to be a lot of floating and throwing fireballs back and forth, you'll get that, but not to the extent that you think. That will not.
Yeah,
be the entire
you're
fight
expecting
scene.
like a back and forth, like energy battle.
Don't think you're going to see in this movie what you've seen in the Harry Potter films. It's not going to be like that. It gets very physically
different type of magic.
So it gets very physically demanding in this film, but in a good way that doesn't take away from the fact that they're still guys who know how to fight, but they're heavily using magical attacks.
Real quick, Gandalf versus Doctor Strange.
Death battle.
Okay.
I don't know, man. We'll have to say. I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure.
Strange, you shall not pass.
We'll see who the Sorcerer Supreme is. Mr. Doctor Strange, do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks.
There you go.
So, all in all, we really enjoyed this film. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody who just want to see a really good film that is very well paced, is very well acted. The humor was way better than I was expecting from it. It was just all around a great film. The effects are big without ever being overbearing.
Exactly.
They're big without being overbearing. If you're, I go into this film, expecting to see a little bit of what you might see in a Michael Bay Transformers flick where it's just everywhere. It's not like that. It's like when the effects happen, it's big, it's perfectly balanced.
Exactly. And it's there for a reason. Michael Bay just throws it in there just because. I'm not going to make any references because we'll be here all day. But the thing is, that's it. It's like it's exactly where it needs to be. If there's an effect, it's there for a reason.
So the special effects are really good, and it's very well balanced. It never gets tiresome. But overall, dude, I love Doctor Strange. Any complaints I had would just be nitpicking about it. Overall, the film was good from start to finish. Loved it.
It's absolutely astonishing. I loved Doctor Strange, and if you would have told me that when I was a kid, that I would love a Doctor Strange movie,
that a Doctor Strange movie is going to be the best film that we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I would say, you're a madman. You're a madman. Maybe a Dr. Fate movie, but not a Doctor Strange movie. So, yeah, I'll give it an 8.5.
Me, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
I'm with Corey on this. I'm going to have to actually say 9 out of 10.
Okay. Well, hey, folks, go see Doctor Strange. You will not be disappointed, especially if you're a Marvel fan. Hell, if you're a DC fan, go see it. You can see how these movies are done right. Anyway, this has been Corey, master of all 4 elements, Carter. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist just one, okay? I had to make
Before
one
we did
jab.
This show,
I waited one
you
jab.
brought it up. You said don't do that. No need for Marvel. No need for
I just said don't go into a rant. I didn't say I wouldn't jab.
DC basher.
I didn't say I wouldn't make a jab. I didn't say that. I said I would not go into a rant about it. That's all I said.
And Fred Freeze. I will actually say I'm not going to bash DC because I just can't keep punching the kid on the playground. I can't do it.
We don't beat a horse when it's down, man. We don't keep beating a dead horse.
They got to get up. I buy your comics. I buy your comics too, DC. And, I'm rooting for you. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Come on, man.
When's
the last time you bought a DC comic, a mainstream comic, period? You're not going to buy a mainstream comic.
Yes, Mr. Underground comic book reader.
I bought Earth 2. Earth 2 by DC is good writing.
This man will harp on Earth 2 forever and ever as being a great comic. This man will love Earth 2 to death.
Read it. I collected the JSA and All-Star Squadron and Infinity Inc. So,
okay. Yes. All right. And I'm Jonathan Crane. Yeah. Go watch Doctor Strange and don't hate DC because they deserve a shot.
Okay, sure. All right. I am going to let that one go, and we are going to call this another episode of Critical Comix. We will catch you guys next time when hopefully we will be reviewing Rogue One when it comes out. I'm really excited to see that one, and we will try to power our way through doing a review of the live-action version of Ghost in the Shell. I cannot guarantee that will not be an episode filled with rants and raves, but we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Otherwise, we'll catch you folks later.
Well, I'm an equalizer, known to be graphic. I clear static, breaking up traffic. Move while I enter the groove. I'm on top and happy to prove to whack MCs who claim to be better than. No way, I'm frankly more clever than all of you. Each and every one, my son. Pay close attention. I'll take your brain to another dimension. Hold it, mold it, shape it. You got a knife? Yes, I wanna scrape it up and down, sideways, anywhere I can.